Climate change is often described in terms of rising temperatures, carbon emissions, and collapsing ecosystems. But one of the most overlooked dimensions of this crisis is not environmental, it's gendered. Climate change does not affect everyone equally, and more importantly, not everyone is expected to care in the same way. Studies show that across cultures, women are more likely to take on the emotional and practical labor of living sustainably, from making greener household decisions to teaching environmental values to the next generation. This emotional labor is not always visible, but it plays a massive role in how societies respond to climate threats and who ends up sacrificing in the process. In this second episode of Sustainability Case Study, we examine how gender inequality intersects with climate change and sustainability, and why ignoring this imbalance could cost us more than we think. A 2021 study in Global Environmental Change found that women are more likely to engage in sustainable household behaviors, such as conserving energy, reducing food waste, and avoiding plastic. Why? Because many societies have long linked femininity with caregiving, not just for families, but now for the planet. In psychological terms, this pattern is often shaped by internalized eco-responsibility, where women are conditioned to feel morally accountable for outcomes that are largely systemic. Emotional sustainability means staying mentally strong during climate challenges without placing too much of that pressure on one group more than others. Emotional sustainability is also about how we process fear, grief, and uncertainty, especially when the future feels fragile. A 2023 review in Current Opinion in Psychology found that women report higher levels of climate-related distress than men. One of the reasons is how people are generally taught to handle stress. Women are often expected to manage not just their own emotions, but even the emotions of people around them. They're expected to give them hope, to take care of everyone, even when it's all overwhelming for them. And because of that, they end up carrying more emotional weight than they should. Meanwhile, despite bearing this emotional overload, women are still underrepresented in climate decision making at both national and global levels. A UN 2022's Gender and Environment report shows that in many countries, women's voices are missing from the policy tables that shape environmental futures. Now, this creates a double bind. Women feel more responsible, but have less systemic power. Let's look at real-life example, drawn from research that combines ethnographic and survey-based studies. In drought-prone regions of sub-Saharan Africa, women and girls spend over 200 million hours a day collecting water, often walking more than 30 minutes per trip. This task is not just physical, it's emotionally demanding. Every day is a question of survival. Who gets water? What gets sacrificed? How will the family survive the week? Meanwhile, in high-income countries, women, often referred to in literature as eco-mothers, carry the pressure to run guilt-free, sustainable homes. In both cases, women are not just participating in sustainability, they are emotionally sustaining it. But the cost of that labor is rarely acknowledged. Now here is something missing from most climate research. Gender is usually treated as binary, male or female. But what about those who don't identify as either? A 2021 review in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health found that transgender, non-binary, and gender-diverse individuals are largely absent from research on climate impacts and emotional resilience. And it wasn't until the 2023 US National Climate Assessment that LGBTQ+ populations were officially recognized as disproportionately vulnerable to climate disruption. What this shows is not just exclusion from data, but exclusion from protection. Entire communities are missing from policies designed to address climate trauma. If the emotional labor falls unequally, so does the exhaustion or the burnout that comes with it. Women and marginalized groups are being asked to do more of the emotional and behavioral work of climate action, while carrying fewer of the tools to change the system. This imbalance has consequences. Emotional burnout, eco-fatigue, and psychological disengagement are rising. Not because people don't care, but because they are caring alone. The UNDP and Oxfam both point out that gender inequality is not just a moral problem. It's a structural barrier to climate resilience. And from a psychological standpoint, when care becomes concentrated in specific groups, it undermines collective action. So what does all this mean? That the real question is not just about how do we live more sustainably. It's about who do we expect to carry the emotional weight of that sustainability. Emotional sustainability is more than mental health. It's about fairness. It's about power. It's whether the responsibility to save the world is shared or silently outsourced. Because the planet doesn't just need greener choices. It needs a more equal distribution of emotional responsibility. In the next episode, we take this deeper and ask, what if the reason we feel disconnected from the nature is because we've stopped believing it's alive? We'll explore panpsychism, the provocative theory that consciousness might be woven into all of matter itself. If you stayed with me until this point, thank you for watching, and until next time, keep building a better you.